Part 1. The morning my portfolio disappeared again. I woke up to the sound of my printer feeding paper. Not the alarm on my phone. Not the rain against the dormitory window. The printer. That cheap, stubborn little machine beside my desk, dragging one page at a time from the tray like it was trying to cough up a secret. I opened my eyes in the pale blue dark of the intern residence and already knew what day it was. July 18th. Final interview day at Argent Vance Capital. The morning my roommate stole my portfolio, smiled in my face, and walked into the interview room wearing my future like a borrowed blazer. In my first life, I had been stupid enough to call it an accident for the first 10 minutes. The wrong binder in my bag, the wrong USB in my pencil case, the wrong presentation loaded on the interview room screen. By the time I understood, Brielle Lane had already sat before the panel, opened my real portfolio, and explained my work badly enough to sound original. I walked in after her with a folder full of empty templates, corrupted charts, and one document that looked like I had copied her. The panel called it a serious integrity concern. My family called it inevitable. The internet called me the spoiled Heiress Intern who could not even steal properly. By evening, my father told Argent Vance to withdraw my finalist status quietly. By midnight, my brother sent a message to every recruiter he knew saying I needed time away for emotional regulation. By the next week, Brielle had the fellowship, the press photo, and the mentor meeting with the CEO. By autumn, I had signed away my education trust voting rights because my mother said a public scandal would destroy the Whitmore name. By winter, I was living in a service apartment paid month to month by a family lawyer who never used my first name. I did not die with a knife in my hand or blood on marble. I died slowly, as a rumor people stopped correcting. Then I opened my eyes again. Same intern residence, same printer, same rain, same morning. I sat up and watched the last page slide into the output tray. At the top, in clean black type, was the title of my final project, The Atlas Recovery Plan. A rescue model for failing family companies that looked profitable because everyone around them was paid to call the numbers healthy. I had built it from 3 years of financial filings, supplier interviews, and private case notes I gathered before the Whitmore family admitted I was theirs. It was mine. Every chart, every risk model, every line of the executive summary. And in my first life, it became Brielle's. The bedroom door opened without a knock. Brielle entered wrapped in a cream cardigan, her blonde hair clipped back, her face soft with the kind of innocence that had an excellent memory for camera angles. "Iris," she whispered, "you're awake." I looked at the printer, then at her. "So are you." She gave a tiny laugh. I could not sleep. Today is huge. Huge. That was a polite word for theft, when the thief had already chosen her outfit. She crossed the room and picked up the warm stack of pages from my printer before I moved. "Your printer is still running? I thought yours jammed last night." "It did," I said. "I fixed it." In my first life, I had told her the whole disaster, the jammed printer, the backup USB, the spare binder, the hotel copy shop where I had planned to print the final pages before leaving. Brielle listened like a friend. Then she used every detail like a floor plan. This time, I leaned against the headboard and watched her skim the first page. Her eyes moved too fast for someone only being supportive. Brielle had always stolen gently. She did not snatch. She admired. She praised. She made you grateful she was interested before she took the thing she had praised. "This looks amazing," she said. "You really think the panel will understand the supplier pressure section?" There it was. Not, "What is it?" Not, "How did you build it?" She already knew the section titles because she had read my draft at 2 a.m. in my first life. That question made me explain the model. I told her which suppliers were intentionally underpaid, which receivables were inflated, which family offices hid debt through charitable subsidiaries. She repeated half of it in her interview. Today, I yawned. Maybe, if they read slowly. Brielle's smile faltered for half a second. She preferred me defensive. Defensive people reveal more. Do you want me to check the binder order? She asked. You always get nervous before big things. I looked at the blue binder on my desk. It was the decoy, beautiful cover page, strong charts, and one poison thread hidden in the numbers. The recovery model assumed a supplier contract that did not exist. Anyone who had truly built the project would catch it. Anyone who had only stolen the pages would defend it confidently. Sure, I said. Check it. She walked to my desk. Her left hand touched the blue binder. Her right hand hovered near her tote bag. In my first life. The swap happened while I showered. This time, I wanted to see it. Brielle slid the binder open, clicked her tongue softly, and lifted the first divider. You put your case notes after the appendix? She asked. Maybe move them forward. You can reorder it if you want. That was the first trap. Her eyes brightened. Permission always makes thieves feel clean. She pulled the binder closer, pretending to help. I watched her remove the USB clipped inside the front pocket and replace it with another identical silver drive from her sleeve. The movement was almost perfect. Almost. She forgot the mirror above my desk. It caught everything. Her fingers, the sleeve, the tiny scratch on the replacement USB. My old phone sat on the windowsill behind her. Screen dark, camera open, in my first life. I used that phone to call my mother after the interview and beg her to believe me. She did not answer. This time. It recorded silently. Not hidden in a spy movie way. Just placed where no one who underestimated me bothered to look. There, Brielle said, closing the binder. Much cleaner. She placed it back exactly 1 inch to the left of where it had been. Thieves are funny like that. They can steal your future and still worry about neatness. Thank you, I said. Brielle touched my shoulder. I know your family's putting pressure on you today. But whatever happens, you are more than a last name. In my first life. I cried when she said that. I thought she saw me. Now I heard the rehearsal. Whatever happens. Not when you win. Not, you will do great. Whatever happens. Because she already knew what she intended to happen. After she left, I got out of bed and opened the bottom drawer. Inside was the real portfolio. Not printed, not on a USB, not anywhere Brielle could touch. It lived in 3 places: a time-stamped email archive, a private submission portal, and a sealed copy already sent to Cassandra Vance, CEO of Argent Vance Capital, under the initials IR 2 years earlier, in my first life. I learned too late that Cassandra had mentored anonymous applicants through a foundation program. She had read my first version before I ever became a Whitmore. She had replied once, "This is not polished, but it sees rot clearly. Keep going." I had kept going. Then I had trusted the wrong person with the final copy. This time, at 5:12 that morning, before Brielle woke, I sent Cassandra the completed file from the same old email address. Subject: Final Atlas Recovery Plan. Iris Reed to Heiress Whitmore Identity Update. Attached: Original Draft Chain. Data folder. Portfolio hash record. And a note that said, if someone else presents this today, please ask them about the supplier contract in Section 4. The reply came at 5:29. Received, Do not confront anyone before the panel. I dressed slowly. Charcoal blazer, white shirt, black skirt, no pearls. My mother had sent a pearl necklace to the intern residence the night before, with a card that said, "Try to look like you belong." I left it in the box. Belonging that needs a costume is just trespassing with accessories. At 7:30, Brielle knocked again. "Ready?" she asked. She carried her own red binder, the one that now held my real printed file from last night's draft, or what she believed was real. I picked up the blue decoy binder and the scratched silver USB. "Ready." Downstairs, the intern shuttle waited in the rain. Brielle slid into the seat beside me and texted quickly. The reflection in the window showed the name on her screen. Nolan Whitmore, my brother. Of course, in my first life. I thought Brielle had acted alone because it hurt less to believe my family had merely failed me after the theft. The truth was uglier. Nolan had given her access to the residence floor. Nolan had told her my interview time. Nolan had told Argent Vance HR that I had been unstable since the DNA reveal and might bring borrowed work to prove myself. Brielle stole the knife. My brother opened the drawer. This time, I watched the rain streak the window and smiled. They had brought the same knife again. Good. I had brought the handle. Part 2. My family. Sent a warning before the interview. Argent Vance Capital occupied 40 floors of black glass and silver steel downtown. The lobby smelled like coffee, rain-wet wool, and expensive air conditioning. Finalist interns gathered near the security desk with portfolios under their arms and fear arranged carefully on their faces. I recognized most of them from my first life. Daniel Cho, who would later send me a message saying he had suspected the swap but did not want to get involved. Priya Shah, who would whisper that the Whitmore scandal was sad but predictable. Brielle Lane, who would become the fellowship winner and tell a magazine that ambition meant lifting other women. I almost admired the reach of that lie. At reception, the security officer scanned our badges. Mine flashed yellow. Brielle's flashed green. She looked at the screen before I did. "Is something wrong with Iris's badge?" she asked, all concern, all sweetness. The officer frowned. "Temporary access review. In my first life." That yellow light delayed me 12 minutes. 12 minutes was enough for Brielle to enter the first interview slot, present my file, and make my later arrival look chaotic. I had panicked at the desk, argued with security, called HR, and looked exactly like the unstable heiress Nolan had described. This time, I placed my hands on the counter. "Could you call Ms. Hart from finalist coordination?" The officer looked surprised that I knew the name. "She is already on her way." Brielle's expression flickered. In my first life, I had not known Ms. Hart existed until after the hearing. She was the one HR manager who had questioned the badge review. Her memo was buried because my father requested a quiet withdrawal before it reached the CEO. This time, I had emailed her too. "Badge review likely triggered by family office request. Please preserve the access log." Marina Hart arrived in a navy dress, tablet in hand, eyes sharp. "Miss Whitmore," she said. "Not Iris, not Miss Reed, not the difficult one. Miss Whitmore." Brielle heard it. So did the officer. "Your badge was flagged this morning by an external note. But finalists are not removed without internal confirmation. You are cleared." She tapped the tablet. The badge turned green. Brielle smiled too late. "That's good. I was worried." Marina looked at her. "Were you?" It was a small sentence. It landed beautifully. We moved toward the elevator. My phone buzzed. Father. I let it ring once before answering. Conrad Whitmore did not say hello. Men like my father considered greetings inefficient with people they owned. Iris, Nolan told me there may be a concern with your interview file. I watched Brielle's reflection in the elevator doors. Her head tilted slightly, listening. What concern? I asked. Do not play coy if you used external material. Withdraw before the panel makes it public. In my first life. That sentence broke me before the interview even began. My father had believed the accusation before hearing my answer. Today, it clarified the timeline. Who told you I used external material? I asked. That is not the point. It is exactly the point. The elevator doors opened. Brielle stepped inside. I followed. Several finalists entered with us. Good. Witnesses. My father lowered his voice. But phones do not respect pride. You were brought into this family late. You do not understand how quickly one mistake can damage the Whitmore name. Was the mistake mine? I asked. Silence. Then, coldly. If Brielle performs well today, congratulate her. Do not create a scene out of jealousy. There it was. The family had chosen the winner before the room opened. I looked at Brielle. She stared at the elevator numbers as if she could not hear a word. Of course, I said into the phone. I will not create a scene. My father exhaled. He thought the sentence meant surrender. It meant the scene would have better lighting. I ended the call and saved the recording to 3 folders. Brielle touched my sleeve. Are you okay? My father wanted me to congratulate you. Her face warmed with fake embarrassment. That's unfair. No one knows what will happen. Don't they? She looked away. The finalist lounge sat on the 38th floor. Glass walls, gray carpet, a table of pastries no one ate. On the far wall, a screen showed the interview order. Brielle Lane, 9 o'clock. Iris Whitmore, 9:40. Daniel Cho, 10:20. Priya Shah, 11 o'clock. In my first life. My name had been moved to 9:40 after the badge delay. Originally, I was first. Brielle was after me. The swap mattered because whoever presented first shaped the panel's expectations. I walked to the screen and photographed it. Brielle laughed softly. For memories? For timestamps? She did not like that word. People who manipulate timing hate timestamps. She sat beside me anyway and opened her red binder. I glimpsed the first page, my executive summary, my sentence, my old mistake too. One sentence I had removed at 5:12 because it sounded too emotional. Brielle had stolen the draft she could reach, not the version I had sent. Good. The file in her hands was close enough to make her confident and wrong enough to expose her. At 8:52, Nolan arrived. He wore a visitor badge and the easy smile of a man who believed every room had been prepared for him. My brother had inherited our mother's blonde hair and our father's talent for looking generous while arranging exits behind people. Brielle, he said warmly, you look ready. Then he looked at me. Iris, try to stay calm. In my first life. I snapped. I asked why he was here. I asked why he spoke to Brielle first. I asked why my family kept treating her like the daughter they wanted, and me like a lawsuit with hair. Brielle cried. Nolan put a protective hand on her shoulder. The lounge watched the real heiress prove the rumor. This time, I smiled. Thank you for coming. Nolan, he blinked. Of course. Will you be observing the interviews? Only as a family representative. Whose family? Brielle's hand tightened on her binder. Nolan's smile froze. The Whitmore family. Interesting. I let the word sit. He leaned closer. Do not start. I haven't... Marina Hart appeared at the lounge door before he could continue. Mr. Whitmore. Family representatives are not permitted in finalist interviews unless invited by the panel. Nolan looked offended. Cassandra Vance knows my father. Marina smiled without warmth. Cassandra Vance wrote the rule. For the first time that morning, I saw fear touch Brielle's face. Not enough to stop her, enough to sharpen her. She stood when her name was called at 9 o'clock and hugged the red binder to her chest. "Wish me luck," she said. "Good luck," I answered. "Explain everything clearly." Her eyes searched my face. She wanted a hidden meaning. There was one, but not the kind she could use. She walked into interview room A. The red recording light above the door turned on. Nolan sat beside me in the lounge, jaw tight. My blue decoy binder rested on my lap. My real portfolio waited inside a CEO's email archive. Through the glass wall, I could not hear the panel, but I could see Brielle sit, smile, and open my stolen file. She looked beautiful under the lights, calm, prepared, loved by everyone who preferred a clean story. In my first life, I had hated her in that moment. This time, I felt something colder than hate. Curiosity? How far would she walk if every door stayed open? How confidently would she describe a life she had not lived? How many people would reveal themselves by clapping before checking the signature? I did not have to wait long. At 9:11, Brielle began presenting the Atlas Recovery Plan as if her hands had ever touched its bones. Part 3. I let her present the file. She stole. Brielle's interview lasted 32 minutes. That was longer than scheduled. In my first life, I took it as proof the panel loved her. Later, I learned long interviews mean one of two things: fascination or suspicion. The powerful part is that from outside the room, both look the same. Nolan smiled when Brielle spoke animatedly. A few finalists whispered that she must be killing it. I looked at the clock and counted. At 9:16, she would reach the supplier pressure model. At 9:21, someone would ask about the non-existent contract in Section 4. At 9:23, if she had any sense, she would retreat. At 9:24, she did not retreat. The door opened at 9:34. Brielle stepped out, flushed and bright-eyed. She looked like a girl coming from victory, not interrogation. That was how good she was. She could wear panic as excitement. Nolan stood. "How did it go?" She smiled. "I think well." Then her eyes found mine. "They are very intense. Though, Iris, make sure your numbers match your narrative. They hate vague answers." My numbers, my narrative, my trap. "Thanks," I said. "I will remember." At 9:40, Marina called my name. I stood with the blue binder. Nolan caught my wrist before I passed him. Not hard enough for visible force, just enough for ownership. "If you embarrass this family," he whispered, "Father will not protect you." I looked down at his hand. In my first life, I yanked away and made a scene. "Today," I said. "The cameras are above the pastry table." He released me instantly. Good boy. Some people only understand ethics when it has a lens. Interview room A was cooler than the lounge. 3 panelists sat behind a long table. Marina Hart on the left, a senior partner named Owen Bell on the right, Cassandra Vance in the center. She was smaller than photographs made her look, with silver at her temples and a face that did not waste expression. On the table before her sat 2 printed packets, Brielle's red file and my blue binder. Between them was a tablet showing an email thread. My email thread. The old address from before the Whitmore name entered my life. "Miss Whitmore," Cassandra said. "Or do you prefer Reed?" The question was quiet. It changed the room. In my first life, every adult chose my name based on what they wanted from me. Whitmore when they needed blood. Reed when they wanted distance. I met Cassandra's eyes. Reed built the work. Whitmore is the legal file. Either is accurate if the record stays honest. Owen Bell glanced up. Marina almost smiled. Cassandra nodded once. Sit down. I sat. Cassandra touched the red file. Your fellow finalist presented a recovery model titled The Atlas Recovery Plan. She states the model is hers. Your submission packet has the same title. Yes. Explain. I placed the blue binder on the table, but did not open it. The title in my printed binder is not the proof. The development record is... Owen leaned back. Convenient. Very, I said. That is why I brought timestamps. Marina slid the tablet toward me. Before we discuss timestamps, please present your model in 5 minutes. In my first life, I panicked when the panel challenged me. I tried to prove everything at once, drowning truth in urgency. This time, I spoke slowly. The Atlas Recovery Plan, I explained, was not a growth strategy. It was a triage system for companies whose public numbers hid private decay. It measured supplier distress, delayed receivables, executive compensation distortion, and family office interference. It did not ask whether a company looked profitable. It asked whether the people keeping it alive were being starved to maintain the appearance of health. Cassandra's face did not change, but her pen stopped moving. That was enough, I continued. The key was not the risk score. Anyone could make a score. The key was the witness layer, delivery records, supplier payment gaps, internal email tone, and decision delays. Sick companies often tell the truth in the places executives think are too boring to read. Purchase orders, shipping complaints, maintenance requests, exit interviews. A family empire does not collapse when the stock price drops. It collapses when the receptionist starts saying, "They never call us back." Owen Bell's expression shifted. He recognized the line. It was in my first draft from 2 years ago, the one Cassandra had read, the one Brielle had never seen because I removed it from the printed file. Cassandra leaned forward. And the supplier contract in Section 4? There it was, the door opening. I looked at the red file. The one Miss Lane defended? The same. It does not exist. Owen's eyebrows rose. Marina looked at her notes. Cassandra said nothing. I continued. The contract named in the printed draft is a decoy. In my early model, I assumed a consolidated supply agreement between Hale Components and North Pier Logistics. When I audited the filings, I realized the agreement was only a proposed term sheet. It was never executed. Any recovery strategy built around that contract collapses in the second quarter. Cassandra tapped the red file. Miss Lane described it as the central stabilizing mechanism. Then she described a building standing on a painted floor. For the first time, Cassandra Vance smiled. Not kindly, sharply. Why leave the decoy in a printed binder? Because someone had been opening my files. Marina looked at the glass wall. Nolan sat outside, pretending not to stare. Brielle stood near the coffee table, no longer pretending to read her phone. That is an accusation. Owen said. No, I replied. It is a hypothesis supported by access logs, video, a file hash mismatch, and a recording from my dorm room this morning. Owen sat up fully. You recorded your roommate? I recorded my desk. Why? Because yesterday, my files had already been opened without permission. I corrected myself before the sentence became impossible to explain. Cassandra noticed. Her eyes narrowed. But she did not interrupt. I took out my old phone and placed it on the table. The original project file was submitted to Ms. Vance's Foundation email at 5:12 this morning. It matches the private archive chain from 2 years ago. The red file Miss Lane presented was printed from a draft accessed last night from my residence. The blue binder I carried contains the decoy file she left in my bag. Ayer. Marina connected the phone to the room screen. The video from my dorm appeared. Brielle entering. Brielle lifting the binder. Brielle swapping the USB with the scratched silver drive. No dramatic music, no screaming. Just a pretty girl doing ugly work in excellent lighting. Owen muttered something under his breath. Cassandra watched without blinking. When the clip ended, the screen froze on Brielle's hand inside her sleeve. "That," I said, "is why I let her take it." The room was silent. Through the glass, Brielle had gone pale. Nolan stood, then sat again when Marina looked toward the door. Cassandra opened the email thread on her tablet. She said. "Iris Reed. Yes. You sent me the first version before the Whitmore family found you. Before they admitted they found me." I said. Cassandra's pen moved. Important distinction. To me. Yes. She opened another file. The header read, Argent Vance Anonymous Foundation Mentorship Archive. Date, 2 years earlier. Sender, Iris Reed. Attachment, Atlas Recovery Notes, version 0.4. Cassandra turned the tablet toward Owen. "I remember this." Owen looked from the archive to me. "Why not mention it in your application?" "Because my family told me using Reed would look confusing. Because my brother said anonymous mentorship was not real access. Because last time I trusted the wrong explanation." I stopped. The room allowed the silence. Then Cassandra said, "Continue." So I did. I explained the real Section 4. I explained why hail components mattered precisely because there was no executed contract. I explained how a company could appear stable while burning its supplier relationships for short-term liquidity. I explained the updated model and the witness layer Brielle never saw. I did not rush. I did not beg. I did not ask them to believe me. I handed them the map and let them find the road. When I finished, Cassandra closed both files. "Miss Whitmore, please wait in the side conference room." Owen looked startled. "Cassandra." She did not look at him. Side conference room. In my first life, being sent aside meant suspicion. This time, it meant the panel needed a clean room to open the rot without me in reach. I stood. "Before I left," Cassandra said, "leave the blue binder." I did. The decoy sat beside Brielle's red file like two versions of a lie waiting to be compared. Part 4. The CEO opened the email archive. The side conference room had one glass wall facing the city and one camera in the corner. I sat alone with a bottle of water and a view of rain moving across the skyline. In my first life, after my disastrous interview, I sat in a room like this while HR drafted a withdrawal statement. They used soft words: misalignment, emotional strain, family transition. They never used theft. Theft was too sharp for people who wanted me to sign politely. This time, no one brought me a statement. No one asked me to apologize. Through the glass, I saw Marina Hart enter interview room A with a security officer. Brielle was brought back first. She walked in slowly, red binder clutched to her chest. Nolan behind her until security stopped him at the door. He argued. The security officer did not move. That was one of the small pleasures of corporate rooms. Sometimes money stops at the badge reader. The room audio did not play in the side conference room, but the wall screen showed the document review. Marina opened the red file. Cassandra opened the email archive. Owen opened the access logs. Brielle sat with her hands folded so tightly her knuckles showed white. I imagined the first question. Please explain the supplier contract. Or perhaps, why is your finalist file identical to an archive submitted 2 years ago by Iris Reed? Either would do. At 10:37, Marina entered the side room. Miss Whitmore, Ms. Vance asks permission to use your dorm recording in the integrity review. Granted. And your email archive? Granted. And your call recording with your father? I looked at her then. You have that? You uploaded it to the finalist portal at 8:03. I had been so focused on Brielle that I forgot the call might matter too. Marina's expression softened by 1 degree. Patterns matter. I almost laughed. That had been my thought. Maybe competent adults all sound similar when they finally arrive on time. She left. The review continued. At 10:52, Nolan was brought into the room. He looked angry until Cassandra turned the tablet toward him. Then he looked like a man watching a locked door open from the wrong side. In my first life, Nolan had controlled the family story because he controlled who spoke to whom. He told HR I was unstable. He told Father I was jealous. He told Brielle I only got the interview because of blood. He told himself he was protecting the family from embarrassment. Now every message had a timestamp. The door to the side room opened again at 11:10. This time, Cassandra Vance entered herself. She carried no folder. She did not need one. Iris, she said. Not Miss Whitmore, not Miss Reed. Iris. It sounded strange and clean. I stood. Ms. Vance, sit. This is not court. I sat. She took the chair across from me. For a moment she looked out at the rain. Your model is good. I did not answer. Compliments from powerful people are sometimes doors, sometimes cages. I had learned to check the hinges. Your family called twice this morning, she said. Your father before interviews. Your brother during... I expected that. Your father suggested you might withdraw for health reasons. Convenient. Your brother suggested Miss Lane should be considered for a direct analyst placement if the fellowship panel found her presentation strong. I breathed out once. Nolan had not merely helped Brielle steal the interview. He had tried to sell her into the opening my file created. Did Brielle know? I asked. Cassandra's eyes sharpened. Does that change your answer? No. It changes the size of her lie. Cassandra placed a small recorder on the table and turned it on. For the formal record, did anyone in the Whitmore family pressure you to withdraw or concede authorship? I looked at the red light. In my first life, I would have been terrified of saying too much. Today, truth felt lighter than strategy. Yes. My father warned me not to embarrass the family and instructed me to congratulate Brielle. My brother told HR there were concerns about my file before he had seen it. My mother sent a pearl necklace and a note telling me to look like I belonged. That last one is not policy evidence, but it explains the weather. Cassandra's mouth moved as if she almost smiled. Weather noted. Then she asked about the dorm swap, the USB, the printed draft, the Foundation Mentorship Archive, the Reed email address, and the identity change after the DNA report. I answered plainly, no sobbing, no speeches. Evidence does not become stronger because you bleed on it. It becomes harder to dismiss when you refuse to decorate it. At 11:34, she turned off the recorder. Here is what happens next. The fellowship panel will reconvene at noon with all finalists present. The integrity finding will be read before offers are issued. Miss Lane's candidacy is suspended. Your brother's visitor access is revoked. Any attempted family withdrawal on your behalf is void without direct recorded consent from you. I let the words settle. Void. Direct consent. Recorded. beautiful little locks clicking open. "And the fellowship?" I asked. Cassandra leaned back. "That depends on whether you still want to work in a building where half the room just saw your family try to bury you." It was a fair question. Fair questions are rare enough that I recognized it slowly. Did I want Argent Vance? In my first life, I wanted the fellowship because it would prove I was not a decorative mistake. I wanted the badge, the office, the offer letter, the photo my family could not crop me out of. This time, I wanted something colder and cleaner. I wanted the right to choose without being cornered by theft. "I want the offer considered on the work," I said. "If I get it? I decide after I read the terms." Cassandra nodded. "Good answer." She stood at the door. She paused. "One more thing. The first version you sent me 2 years ago had a line I liked. Sick companies hide pain in boring documents. You removed it." I blinked. It sounded too blunt. "Put it back." Then she left. I sat there with the rain and the empty chair, feeling something dangerous move through me. Not hope. Hope was too loud. Something quieter. The possibility that the room might judge the work before the family reached it. At noon, Marina escorted me to the large finalist conference room. Everyone was there. Daniel, Priya, the other finalists, the panel, Brielle, Nolan, and to my surprise, my parents. Conrad and Elise Whitmore sat in the front row, dressed as if attending a charity award lunch instead of an integrity hearing. My mother wore pearls. The necklace she sent me remained unopened in my drawer. When she saw my bare throat, her lips tightened. Good. Let her mourn the costume. Brielle sat alone at the side table. No cardigan now. No soft smile. Just a girl holding a tissue with both hands. Nolan stood behind my parents. Visitor badge gone. My father did not look at me. That meant he was afraid of what his face might say before his mouth could edit it. Cassandra took her seat at the front. "We will begin," she said. The room became still. I sat in the second row, hands folded, and watched the people who had planned my humiliation prepare to hear it read aloud. Part 5. My roommate could not explain my work. Cassandra did not raise her voice. She did not need to. This morning, Argent Vance Capital received 2 finalist submissions containing materially similar work under the title The Atlas Recovery Plan. The review has determined that the development archive, original mentorship record, file hash history, and recorded dormitory footage support authorship by Heiress Reed Whitmore. She said the full name, Reed and Whitmore together. My mother's face tightened. My father finally looked at me. The screen behind Cassandra lit up. First, my old email from 2 years earlier. Iris Reed, Atlas Recovery Notes, version 0.4. Then, Cassandra's reply, "This is not polished, but it sees rot clearly. Keep going." A few finalists turned toward me. Not with pity, with recognition. I had existed before the Whitmore name. I had worked before the family found me. I had not appeared in the world on the day they decided whether I was convenient. Next came the dorm recording. Brielle entered my room. Brielle touched the binder. Brielle swapped the USB. No one in the conference room laughed. No one whispered. Theft looks smaller without dramatic music. That is what makes it uglier. Brielle covered her mouth. "I was helping her reorder it," she whispered. Cassandra looked at Marina. Marina played the second clip. The mirror angle showed the silver USB sliding from Brielle's sleeve. A tiny scratch along the metal side caught the light. Marina placed 2 evidence bags on the table. One contained the scratched USB from my binder. One contained the matching sleeve cover from Brielle's tote. Security recovered this after Miss Lane consented to a bag review. Marina said. Brielle looked at Nolan. Nolan looked away. There it was. The first abandonment. In my first life. He had placed a hand on her shoulder in front of HR. Today, the room had evidence, so his hand stayed in his pocket. Cassandra turned to Brielle. Miss Lane, you presented Section 4 as relying on an executed supplier agreement between Hale Components and North Pier Logistics. Please explain how you verified that contract. Brielle's eyes filled. I used the materials available in the file. That is not an answer. The model was collaborative. The word collaborative entered the room and died there. I almost admired the attempt. People love calling theft collaboration when the stolen person is still close enough to blame. Cassandra looked at me. Miss Whitmore, explain. I stood because sitting felt too gentle for the moment. There is no executed supplier agreement. The term sheet was proposed, rejected, and later referenced incorrectly in a family office memo. The printed draft Miss Lane presented contains that early assumption because it came from a version I stopped using. The current model removes the contract and treats the supplier relationship as a fracture point, not a stabilizer. Cassandra nodded. And what happens if a recovery plan assumes the contract exists? It fails by the second quarter and hides the failure long enough for executives to pay themselves bonuses. Owen Bell made a sound that might have been a cough or approval. Brielle cried harder. My mother turned toward my father, whispering something I could not hear. Probably my name, probably not Reed, Cassandra continued. Miss Lane, can you identify the source interviews supporting the supplier fracture layer? Brielle stared at the table. I do not remember every interview. Name one. Silence. Name one supplier. Silence. Name the receptionist line from the first version. Brielle looked confused. Good. That line had never been in the stolen draft. Cassandra looked at the room. The receptionist line appears in the mentorship archive submitted 2 years ago by Iris Reed. It does not appear in Miss Lane's access draft. Yet the full model depends on that witness layer. She clicked the remote. A transcript appeared. They never call us back. Source, receptionist at Hale Components. Anonymous interview, March 3rd. The room read the sentence. It was small, boring, the kind of sentence executives ignore, the kind that proved I had done the work. Then Marina opened the access logs. Residence floor entry, 6:04 a.m., Brielle Lane. Visitor pass generated, 5:58 a.m. Sponsor, Nolan Whitmore. Finalist badge note, 7:46 a.m. Source, Nolan Whitmore. Suggested concern, Iris Whitmore may present external material. My brother's name appeared again and again. Tidy as a signature. My father closed his eyes. Not because he was ashamed of Nolan, because Nolan had been sloppy. Cassandra turned to Nolan. Mr. Whitmore, why did you submit an integrity concern before reviewing your sister's file? Nolan stood. My family had reason to worry. About what? Iris has had difficulty adjusting. To what? He hesitated. The room waited. To becoming a Whitmore. I almost smiled. There it was. My real crime. I had been born correctly and arrived inconveniently. Cassandra's voice stayed even. Adjustment difficulty is not evidence of portfolio theft. Nolan's jaw tightened. I was protecting the company. You do not work here. Silence. My father stood next. Ms. Vance, this has gone far enough. Whatever happened between the girls? Iris is young. Brielle is young. Nolan was trying to protect everyone. We can resolve this without public damage. Cassandra looked at him with the patient interest of a surgeon locating the tumor. Mr. Whitmore, this is already an internal proceeding. Internal damage can still be contained. You contacted my office twice attempting to influence finalist status. As a father, as a donor prospect, the room cooled. That was the other file. In my first life, after I withdrew, Conrad Whitmore announced a partnership with Argent Vance's philanthropic fund. Brielle became the bright young face of the program. My failure became the cautionary footnote no one printed. This time, Cassandra opened the donor communication log. Conrad Whitmore to Argent Vance Partnerships. 822 If Heiress's finalist file creates concern, the family would prefer a quiet withdrawal and continued consideration of Miss Lane. My father's face did not change. My mother's did. Cassandra read the line aloud. Quiet withdrawal. Continued consideration of Miss Lane. Brielle lowered her head. Nolan stared at the screen. I looked at my father and felt the last warm thread inside me go still. In my first life, I wanted him to be misled. I wanted him to have believed the wrong person by accident. The log was not accident. It was preference with a calendar invite. Argent Vance will not proceed with any Whitmore donor partnership at this time. Cassandra said, Nolan Whitmore's visitor and referral privileges are revoked. Brielle Lane's fellowship candidacy is suspended pending formal misconduct review. The finalist panel will continue with remaining candidates after corrective record entry. Brielle made a broken sound. My father finally lost control of his face. My mother whispered, Conrad. He did not answer. Then Cassandra looked at me. Iris Reed Whitmore, your authorship is confirmed. Your interview will be scored on the completed archive and oral defense already provided. You may remain for the offer decisions or leave and receive the result privately. In my first life, I would have stayed because I needed to watch them see me win. This time, I stayed because leaving would let my family speak in the hallway without me. Calm is useful. Presence is better. At 12:46, the panel returned from deliberation. The fellowship offer went to me. Daniel Cho received alternate placement. Priya Shah received a research track. Brielle received an escort to HR. No one applauded. That was right. This was not a graduation. It was a correction. Cassandra handed me the offer letter. Read before signing. My father shifted in his seat. He hated that sentence. He had spent years teaching rooms to place papers in front of me and call speed trust. I read every page, salary, mentorship track, data access terms, conflict policy, housing stipend, direct communication only, no family representative, no donor influence. I signed only after changing one contact line from Whitmore Family Office to my Reed email. Cassandra initialed the edit. My mother looked like I had slapped her. Maybe I had. Some corrections sound like violence to people who benefited from the error. Part 6. My family. Tried to call it a misunderstanding. The conference room emptied slowly. Finalists left first, carrying their folders like fragile animals. Staff moved quietly. Brielle stayed seated until HR asked her to stand. She looked at me then, and for the first time all day, I saw the girl under the polish. Not innocent, not evil in a grand way, just terrified that a life built from borrowed approval could be repossessed. Iris, she said. My name sounded strange in her mouth. She had always preferred roomie or best friend when witnesses were nearby. Friendly titles make theft look intimate. I did not answer. HR escorted her out. Nolan moved as if to follow, but Cassandra's security officer stepped into his path. You will remain until visitor review is complete. My brother looked at my father. Conrad Whitmore looked at Cassandra. Cassandra looked at no one. That was power, not noise, not threats. the ability to let a rule stand without decorating it. My mother approached me with tears in her eyes. Elise Whitmore had always cried beautifully. She could make one tear look like a family portrait. Iris, sweetheart, sweetheart, in my first life. She used that word after I signed the trust transfer. It meant she had won and wanted the room to feel kind. Not now, I said. She flinched. I did not know Brielle would go that far. How far did you think she would go? My mother opened her mouth, closed it. Good. Finally. A question that did not arrive with a script. My father stepped beside her. Your mother is trying... At what? At keeping this family from tearing itself apart. I looked at the donor log still glowing on the screen. You sent a quiet withdrawal request before my interview. His expression hardened. I was managing risk. No, you were managing me. You are young. You do not understand reputation. I almost laughed. Reputation had killed me once. I understood it better than he did. He thought reputation was what powerful people said in public. I knew it was what frightened people allowed to remain uncorrected. Nolan said, You set Brielle up. There it was. The final refuge of caught thieves. Anger at the locked door they walked into. I turned to him. I let her take the file she came to take. You planted errors. I left an old assumption in a draft she had no permission to access. That's entrapment, Cassandra, who had been signing a form nearby, looked up. No, Mr. Whitmore, that is a document boundary. Owen Bell coughed into his hand. This time, it was definitely approval. My father ignored her. Iris, we can fix this. Decline the offer for now. Let the dust settle. I will arrange another placement after we speak as a family. In my first life, after the scandal, he offered to arrange a smaller role at a family charity if I stayed quiet. It sounded like mercy because I was starving for any door that did not lock from the outside. Today, the offer letter in my hand had my name, my email, my terms. No, I said. He stared. No? I will decide after I leave this building. Without you? My mother's tears finally fell. You cannot keep punishing us for loving you imperfectly. That sentence was almost impressive. It tried to turn theft into a parenting style. You did not love me imperfectly, I said. You believed everyone perfectly when they made me smaller. Her face crumpled. Nolan muttered. Dramatic. I looked at him. Documented. He had no answer for that. The word followed us through every room now. Documented, recorded, archived, preserved. The opposite of what my family had done to me. Cassandra handed me a copy of the integrity finding. You will need this if anyone attempts external narrative management. External narrative management. A beautiful corporate phrase for lying before lunch. I took it. Thank you. My father extended a hand. I will hold that. I looked at his hand as if it belonged to a stranger. It did. In a way, I had invented a father in my head before meeting the real one. The invented father might have held evidence to protect me. Conrad Whitmore would hold it to negotiate. No, I said. I placed the finding into my bag. My father lowered his hand slowly, for the first time. I saw him understand that authority is also a habit. Once someone stops obeying, the old shape remains for a second, empty and embarrassing. Marina returned with a tablet. Miss Whitmore, Housing Coordination asked whether you want the fellowship residence option activated. It is independent from family billing. My mother looked up sharply. Housing. Finalist housing stipend. Marina said. Direct to the fellow, my father said. That will not be necessary. Marina did not look at him. I asked Miss Whitmore. Small sentence. Large room. I looked at the tablet. In my first life. I returned to the Whitmore house after the interview because I had nowhere else to go. That night. They took my phone for rest. This time. I had an offer letter and a room with a lock they did not own. Activate it, I said. My mother pressed a hand to her mouth. Nolan looked furious. My father became very calm, which meant he was angrier than both of them. You are leaving over a misunderstanding. I looked at Brielle's empty chair. The donor log, the USB evidence bag, the archive thread, and Nolan's access note. No, I said. I am leaving because I finally understand. Cassandra signed the housing request. Marina sent it. A key code arrived on my phone 30 seconds later. Before my father could answer, Marina placed another document on the table. There is also the matter of finalist interference. The title read, Independent Candidate Protection Notice. I had not seen it in my first life because no one had allowed the case to reach this stage. Marina explained it without looking at my family. For the next 90 days, no finalist communication, offer term, housing record, payroll document, or fellowship evaluation could be routed through Whitmore Family Office. Any attempt to withdraw, decline, redirect, or amend my fellowship status had to be confirmed with me alone in a recorded call. My father read the page once and went still. This is excessive. Cassandra looked at him. You attempted a quiet withdrawal before your daughter had her interview. I was acting as her parent. You were acting as a stakeholder with a conflict. That sentence changed the air. Stakeholder, conflict. The business language stripped his fatherhood down to what he had done with it. My mother whispered, Conrad, please. Nolan stared at the table. He understood the document faster than she did. It did not only protect the offer, it cut the family office out of the room. Marina continued. Nolan Whitmore's referral access is suspended. His visitor activity will be reported to the Graduate Recruitment Ethics Committee. Brielle Lane is ineligible for reapplication to any Argent Vance student program for 3 years. Subject to appeal after the misconduct review, the donor partnership proposal from Whitmore Family Office is paused indefinitely. Each consequence landed without shouting. Suspended, ineligible, paused. The words were calm enough to be permanent. My father looked at me then, really looked, as if he was seeing the cost of losing control before seeing the daughter under it. Iris, tell them this is not necessary. In my first life, that tone would have pulled me apart. It sounded almost like asking, almost like need. But need is not love when it arrives only after authority fails. I folded the protection notice and placed it beside the offer letter. It is necessary, I said. That is why you hate it. My father tried one more time. If you walk out now, the family will need time before welcoming you back. I turned to him. Take all the time you need. My mother whispered my name. Nolan looked away. The old me would have broken at the idea of being unwelcome. The new me had finally learned that some houses call the door open only because they want you standing in the frame, waiting. At 1:30, I left Argent Vance with my own badge, my own offer letter, and my own housing code. No one clapped. No one needed to. The lobby doors opened to rain, and for the first time in 2 lives, the weather felt like mine. Part 7, the offer letter, had my name. The fellowship residence was a small furnished studio 6 blocks from Argent Vance. Gray sofa, white desk, narrow bed, window facing another building, no chandelier, no family portrait, no mother leaving pearls on the pillow like a receipt for obedience. It was perfect. I set my bag on the desk and took out the offer letter. the integrity finding, the dorm recording backup, and the old email from Cassandra. 4 papers, 1 phone, 2 names, Iris Reed, Reed Whitmore. For years, my family treated those names like a problem to be solved. I finally understood they were a timeline. Reed was the girl who built the work before anyone rich cared. Whitmore was the bloodline that tried to own the result after arrival. I did not have to choose one to make the other comfortable. I could carry both and decide who was allowed to use them. That was freedom in its smallest, most practical form. A contact line changed to an email my family could not open. At 2:14, Brielle messaged me. I did not know Nolan was going to flag your badge. At 2:16, Nolan messaged, "You made this bigger than it had to be." At 2:20, my mother sent a photo of the pearl necklace box on my bed with the message, "I only wanted you to feel ready." At 2:31, my father sent one line, "We will discuss your future when you are calmer." I read each message once. Then I exported them to the evidence folder and muted the thread. Not because I wanted revenge, because people who rewrite history begin with small edits. At 3, Cassandra Vance sent a final note. "Your start date is Monday." Put the receptionist line back in the model. I smiled then, a real smile. Small, tired, and mine. I opened the latest file and restored the sentence. "Sick companies hide pain in boring documents." Then I added a second line beneath it. "So do families." I stared at it for a long time before deciding to keep it. The model was stronger with the truth left sharp. That evening, the story began leaking in careful pieces. Not from me, from the finalists. From staff who saw HR escort Brielle out. From someone who noticed Nolan's visitor badge revoked. The internet did what it always does. Guessed loudly around fragments. Spoiled heiress scandal turns. Roommate theft at Argent Vance. Whitmore donor deal paused. Brielle posted a statement at 7:05. I made mistakes under pressure and hope everyone gives my family privacy. My family, even an apology. She tried to stand near the bigger name. I did not respond. Silence is not always weakness. Sometimes it is refusing to help liars find the rhythm. At 8, Daniel Cho sent a message. For what it's worth, she could not explain the supplier section at all. Priya Shah sent another. I should have said something when I saw her with your binder. I archived both. Maybe one day I would answer. Maybe not. Forgiveness was not an automatic reply. At 9, my mother called. I let it ring. She called again. I let it ring again. Then she sent a voice message. I did not open it. In my first life, I lived for voice messages from my mother. One soft sentence could drag me back into any room. Tonight, I made tea in a mug from the residence cabinet and opened the fellowship portal. Emergency contact. I deleted Conrad Whitmore. I typed Marina Hart from HR temporarily. Then stopped. No. I typed my own old Reed email in the secondary contact field. If the system required someone to find me, it could start with me. Before bed, I opened the blue decoy binder one last time. The false supplier contract sat in section 4. Neat and poisonous. It had done its work. I removed the page and placed it in a folder labeled Boundaries. The rest of the binder went into the recycling bin. Some traps deserve gratitude. They do not deserve storage. I thought sleep would be hard. It was not. The room was quiet. No roommate breathing across from me. No brother outside the door. No mother texting about appearances. No father deciding which version of my name looked better on a donor report. Just rain, traffic, and the low hum of a city that did not care who my family was. I slept like someone who had finally stopped guarding a door from the wrong side. On Monday, I arrived at Argent Vance at 8:15. Marina met me in the lobby with a permanent badge. The name printed on it read, Iris Reed Whitmore. I ran my thumb over the letters, not because a badge made me real. I had been real in the intern dorm, real in the old email archive, real when Brielle touched my binder, real when my family prepared to believe her. The badge only proved the building had caught up. Cassandra passed through security while I stood there. She glanced at the badge. Accurate? She asked. I looked at the name again. Accurate. She nodded. Good. Accuracy is expensive. Make it earn its keep. Then she walked toward the elevators. No hug, no speech, no sentimental rescue. Perfect. I did not need another woman to become my mother in order to respect me. I needed a room where evidence stayed evidence after powerful people entered. At my desk, an analyst had left a clean notebook and a black pen. On the first page, I wrote the date. Then I wrote the first line of my revised model. Sick companies hide pain in boring documents. So do families. I paused, then added one more line for myself. Recovery begins when the witness stops apologizing for the record. In my first life, my roommate swapped our interview files and walked away with my future. My family called it a misunderstanding because misunderstanding sounded softer than betrayal. In this life, I let her swap them again. I let her carry the wrong file into the brightest room in the building. I let my brother sign his name to the access logs. I let my father ask for a quiet withdrawal. I let every person choose their position before the archive opened. Then the CEO read the timestamps. The panel played the recording. The offer letter came to me, and when my family reached for it, I finally understood the cleanest kind of revenge. I did not have to snatch my future back from their hands. I only had to stop handing it to them first. Thank you for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next story.